Welcome, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the conference Closing the Loop, Building Resilient Water Systems in the Context of Climate Change. In this afternoon, we will dive into the latest research and technology that will support us in building more resilient water systems, and we will have a panel discussion about where we stand now and how we can speed up the action in research, but also for the European Commission and in industry. So that's what we'll look at later this afternoon. And we will, at the end of the day, hand out the EuroTech Future Awards for the best early career researchers in all EuroTech universities. My name is Jolien Strauss. I will be your chair for the afternoon. I've seen a lot of you because this morning we've had a conference on Africa, EU-Africa collaboration. And it's nice to see that so many of you have stayed also for the part on water. If you've recently joined us, then welcome. Welcome to the conference on water. We will see that some bridges will most probably be made to the program of this morning because there were already some links to water. So we will also make some links back to Africa. And we will inform you on what happened this morning to make sure that these bridges are accessible to everyone. This conference is part of something other than that, that's also bigger, which is the EU Green Week. And the EU Green Week is all about water resilience, and EuroTech is very proud to organize this event as part of this EU Green Week. To officially open this conference on water resilience, I would like to invite the head of the EuroTech Brussels office to the stage. Please give her a warm welcome, Tatiana Panteli.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this part of the conference for those colleagues who was with us this morning. And of course, welcome to those of you who are joining us online. It's a pleasure to have all of you with us. I think it was a great transition from the end of the Africa event when we talk about green future. Hopefully green future for two continents, European and African one. And now we will zoom in into one part of this green transition, specifically on water. And we chose water topic for several reasons, of course. Well, I mean, it's not a secret to anybody here that water is a cornerstone of biological processes on Earth. I mean, it's everywhere. It's drinking water, agriculture, in industry, everywhere in our environment, but also health is dependent on water. But at the same time, we're facing some challenges, and they're related to climate change. And of course, this is putting a lot of pressure on our water management systems. So we must work on this together to hopefully solve these issues, or at least to mitigate the negative effect of climate change, and specifically on water. And when I say water, of course, I mean on humankind. The EU is already doing a lot, and thank you very much for that, because I think it was overlooked for some times, and now paying much more attention to water-related issues through Green Deal agenda, which was adopted in 2019. But now, of course, with the EU Water Resilient Initiative, it's a new vision on coherent actions to address challenges, specifically security related to drinking water, protecting ecosystems, and also investment into the water-related technology. But where EuroTech sits in it, yeah? So European Commission is doing this on European and global level, but what we do in the EuroTech universities, and what are the EuroTech universities? So we are technical universities, and there are 6 of us. Sorry for repeating that for those who was with us already this morning, but this is DTU, EPFL, Institut Polytechnique de Paris, the Technion, TUI, and TUM. They're from 6 different countries, 2 in the EU and 2 outside of the EU. And together, we are doing excellent research and educating excellent talents for the future. And we doing this across several focus areas. And water sits actually in many of our focus areas, and there are 5 of them. But of course, sustainable society is the most prominent one. And also we will touch on health and bioengineering today, because you will see that some research is related to the health issues. I'm very fascinated actually to see what our researchers are doing. I'm looking at the agenda together with you and looking into the future, because our researchers, of course, working in the current challenges, but also future challenges. I would like to learn more about cold plasma technology and the future of the European rivers, and of course, how to collect microplastic from water, because that's the problem for all of us. Matteo, one of our colleagues, mentioned this morning that you either go alone to go fast, or you go together to go far. Well, actually, with water topic, we cannot go slower, so we need to walk together. And we need to work fast, because we don't have time, because of the climate change and many other issues that we are facing. We need to try and to do it faster. So how to accelerate these actions, we will hear in the second panel after our researchers present their projects. And I would like to to invite all of you to join us in this discussion, and please ask your questions, and also please suggest your solutions or highlight some challenges so we can address them together. So welcome, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. And since today is a hybrid event, we have a lot of cameras set up and over 300 people registered to join us from home. I would like you to also know that online participants can use the Slido chat box. And in this Slido chat box next to the live stream, they can fill out all their questions and indeed solutions, as Tatiana has invited you to do. So that's what I would like the people online to be aware of. If you cannot join the Slido that way, you can go to slido.com and enter the hashtag water, and in that way you can also upload your questions and your remarks. When you're in the room, you of course have this amazing tool of raising your hand and using your voice, so I would happily invite you to do so in the room when you have questions, and at multiple times at the event this afternoon, there will be the opportunity to ask questions and to give your input. And let's first give it a little test. So for the people online, you will be able to give your input in the Slido. And for the people here in the room, the first question for you is, where do you see major problems for our water systems? So maybe look at your neighbor for a few seconds, if you have an immediate neighbor. Where do you see these problems? Then we'll wait for the responses from online, and then I'll collect some of your answers. So if you don't have a neighbor next to you, maybe you have a neighbor in front or to the side. So let's do a quick recap. Where do you see major problems? I get one pop-up online. Integrated circular systems is one of the major problems that's mentioned there. What did you come up with?
I can keep also my secret. for
Don't
later.
spoil it completely, give us a glimpse.
No, I think there is a lot in water management.
Yeah.
So how what use we do with the water we have. So
Yeah.
it's a bit linked to circular economy also, because we can find new source of water.
Shall we make a cliffhanger there?
Yes, exactly.
Cliffhanger there. Bertrand will be on stage in the panel later, so we will hear more. What else is a major problem that you see?
Yelena, we heard from Morocco today 6 years of drought.
Yeah. So the use of water in agriculture.
Yeah, the use of water in agriculture is one of them.
Is more than 80% of
Yeah.
is in the agriculture.
Yeah. And the others? One more?
Pollution.
I hear one more over here, water pollution. Yeah. Yeah, so it's drought, it's pollution, it's water management.
Basically, it's two words starting with qual. It's quality and quantity.
Quality and quantity. Summary for now. Let's move on. Thank you for this test. I see a few more coming in. It's scarcity for agricultural use, and it's also management ways that are contaminating water. So it's quality then. Yeah. Thank you very much. We've put it to the test. It works online. It works with you. So if you're online, please keep uploading your questions and your remarks. And if you're in the room, you know how it works. And we have 2 people walking around with microphones who will be able to also assist you when you have longer questions to ask later. First, our next speaker, she knows all about water. And she's our keynote for the afternoon. And with a master's in glaciology, she loves mountains and focuses her attention on glacier preservation. And this is the link he also personally has to water. Please welcome the project officer at the UNESCO Liaison Office to the European Union in Brussels, Irina Pavlova de Pret.
Greetings, my name is Irina, and well, it was nice warm-up exercise. I think, well, I was giving a very challenging task to make a key opening for this very integrated, very complex topic, where I know we will dive into details in the upcoming session. Also, I have around 20 minutes to give an overview that comes very timely. Of course, with this spring summer period is very water-oriented. So we are part of EU Green Week Partners event. Last week it was high-level segment on water resilience, where, well, we've, I guess, heard some discussions. UNESCO was there highlighting transboundary cooperation, one of issues. Well, before it was World Water Forum in May. Next week, it's Dushanbe, Conference of International Decade of Water. So people are reflecting, policymakers, well, they hear us, and I guess we can think a bit further together about well, the research and policy aspects that we can bring together. So, again, we will dive into more details with a more scientific point of view, but I'm also having a scientific background, and I want to focus my presentation on facts, figures, and giving some ideas, food for thought for further panelists. So we will basing on the work that UNESCO is doing, in particular the World Water Assessment Report that is not, voilà. But Julie, you referred that I'm glaciologist. So I was, like more than 10 years of my life, I was focusing on mountains ecosystem, which is a very small, well, it's a very important part, but a small part of a larger water system, ecosystem cycle. And of course, that counts glaciers, rivers, lakes, groundwater, which is considered often as invisible part, but very, very important, as you know. And of course, well, all the water, it's, well, our global ocean, but in my presentation, I will just focus on terrestrial water systems. I will refer again mostly to two reports within a series of World Water Development reports started more than 20 years ago. It's annual reports that summarize statistics and main reflections scientifically based on water from different angles. So I'll be referring to the one from 2020 on water and climate change, and the recent one, 2024, on water for prosperity and peace. They're all, of course, available, downloadable online and in multiple languages. So where to start? Water. What are we talking about in terms of sectors of use? So, well, very big lines, but of course, well, the largest part of water use, fresh water use, it's within agriculture, then it's industry, and then it's domestic use of water. A nice overview that shows also differences of demand on water depending on different countries' economical level of development. You see clearly some differences, and you see you can take some conclusions. Economic development toward water and employment. We should consider that at least 50% of jobs, employments, they are related directly or indirectly to water-related, dependent on water. For example, well, ourselves, I don't know, do you consider yourself as having work related to water? I guess yes, to a certain extent, no? From not directly, but indirectly for sure. Thinking of our individual access to water, population access to water. So here some numbers for water supply and sanitation, and here it's really alarming numbers. So we see that 1/4 population are still without access to safely managed drinking water. And you would also see clearly difference between rural and urban areas. From access to water, going to water quality. So here you see the risks on water quality and risk of having poor water quality. And now look at these red dots. You would also notice that these water risks, they're not related to economic prosperity of countries, to GDP. Europe is really, really red, right? We are aware of that. Water stress. So here it's another indicator showing the severe water scarcity, the number of months with severe water scarcity issues. Again, there are so many, let's say differently. There are maybe half of the land that is not having issues with water scarcity to the available data, to our knowledge. But there are continents that are entirely water dependent, have water scarcity, and more than half month per year. A little focus on Africa and a reference to this morning event. So groundwater, again, invisible source that gives us at least 1/3 of potential, depending on regions, 1/3 of available fresh drinking water. A point to mention here, you see aquifers in African continent, and the vast majority are transboundary basins. And at the same time, I know that there are very few transboundary water cooperation operational mechanisms of water sharing. It's not only on these continents, it's everywhere, right? But particularly would be interesting in this context. Another outcome from the report is that in terms of surface water, of course, there is scarcity and resources are not evenly distributed. But groundwater, you see it's much better distributed among the regions, and there is big potential for using it for drinking water. Here, we're talking more about economic water scarcity and lack of resources, equipment, and so on. Adding another layer, it's climate change. Of course, well, all ecosystems are suffering from different kind of climate change impacts, but without any doubts that already water being under severe pressure in many regions, and climate change is already amplifying water scarcity, and it will add more and more frequent and with bigger magnitude water-related extremes, droughts and floods. Another global assessment, so this time it's water changes in water availability compared, well, in the context of climate change. In here you would see that almost no places, territories, regions that would not have where the water annual charge would not be changed in a positive or negative sense. And, well, we would, of course, have more water-related issues. Towards solutions, giving just at a glance a couple of slides ideas. So water, to us, we should see it now in the center of the nexus, in the center of water, energy, food, ecosystem nexus. Of course, under overall context, with overall context of climate change. And this nexus, well, I see it more and more in literature, that it becomes more and more commonly used. Climate change, well, of course, two coupled complementary approaches, adaptation and mitigation. Adaptation more considered more in the long term, institutional measures to moderate harm and exploit benefits opportunity from climate change. Mitigation, it's more focused on into the greenhouse emission reduction. But an adaptation water component is more recognized. And the benefits, well, we can think of nature-based solutions, for example. In terms of mitigation, we see that there are much more opportunities to see the co-benefits of water and integrated water management. I'll show you some examples. So here, thinking climate change, thinking the impact of climate change on water resource management, infrastructure, on ecosystems. So here, solid infrastructures, dams, so we should always evaluate, would they be functional, adequate for the amount of water? Well, in terms, if there would be more water available with extreme events, is the infrastructure sustainable? Should it be updated, reconsidered? Water use, again, what's are technologies adequate? Do we monitor well? Do we use the more advanced technologies for water waste management, etc.? Value of ecosystems, and we're speaking more and more about nature-based solutions. Wetlands being the buffer of and a storage of emission gas. Lastly, agriculture sector. Of course, the thinking in a scientific way, with scientific approaches, how we should involve water technologies that will reduce the water consumption. Reducing water consumption, we can use, well, differently the remaining water. We can also induce more and more the renewable energy and solar panels for different pumping measurements. So there's, again, it's a very complex ecosystem that we should see from different sides. Few words, and I know I have only 5 minutes. Technology innovations, we keep talking about, technology innovations, there are a lot of potential from different angles. One point is just have a look at the river logging stations. Again, it's really, of course, we need to increase them, but also think of geographical scope and geographically balance the distribution of docking stations, especially. There are some river basins, the major ones, providing the most of drinking and available surface water that are not properly monitored, and there are no in situ data available. Education. All right, the point about citizen science that represents an opportunity to both data collection and public participation. But I would again point on another issue, which is gender. And here these are numbers from another UNESCO report, UNESCO science report. Just think globally, number of women in STEM having first bachelor and PhDs, it's more or less equilibrated. But then it dramatically decreased when you have, only 30% of women researchers staying in the domain. And then really it decreased to 12% for women in Academy of Sciences, so really higher level researchers who stay in the domain. And again, only 2% of venture capital of tech women in startup. Something to reflect on. Financing, I would not go into details, and will not touch even the EU funding mechanism, saying, again, this reflection on availability of funds in mitigation domain, which are dominant, and on adaptation, and again, thinking and being creative, and think when you're drafting your projects on how can we attract investors, linking co-benefits on mitigation. Here are some examples. What could be these co-benefits? It's job creations, contribution to biodiversity, etc. These are numbers from Green Climate Fund. Okay, interlinkages with governance. We know that water is our entry point in numerous global and regional frameworks. Transboundary cooperation, again stating that there are almost all countries have transboundary waters, and there are 32 operational transboundary basin areas covered by operational agreements. That's what we are all supposed to work and improve. Again, it feels that this is momentum for all of us. For policymakers, for EU policymakers, UN policymakers, decisions at regional level, and of course for researchers and working at the cutting edge of research and innovation, to be attentive to the decisions that are made, to interpret them, to understand what does it mean for all of us, and create opportunities for more consolidated approach where water in the heart of the development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irina. You made a perfect bridge in the end, because let's look at the technologies for water and also the innovations. What we have for you, as Tatiana already mentioned in the opening, are 4 innovations, 4 technologies from researchers working on these projects that we would like to showcase for you. We have 4 of them prepared for you, and they all have a short presentation with some time to ask 1 or 2 questions in the end. So we have a nice overview of showcases of what is going on within all these universities that are represented here today. We will start with the future of Europe's rivers. And Tom Batin will present about the future of Europe's rivers. He's the head of the River Ecosystems Laboratory at EPFL. Tom, please come forward.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the great introduction that you gave. It's quite helpful. So this is wisdom thinking, wishful thinking. That was a Freudian, wishful thinking. So this is the Seine in Paris, right? And people enjoy bathing in there. And I congratulate to President Macron if he really managed to go bathing in the Seine. And I really recommend to him that he should take a warm shower afterwards and not to swallow too much water. So this is the way water is perceived here, right? And there's some water here, so that's the way we perceive water here. So this is drinking water. If this is from the tap in Brussels, it's low quality. If this is bottled water, I'm pretty sure there's nanoplastics in there or even microplastics. Something. Now, to get to clean water that we all enjoy, is there a pointer somewhere? So if it works here. Sorry. Look, no, hold a second. This one here. This is technology. Perfect. So if we want to get to clean water, right, we have to start upstream. And this here is a lecture on the upstream process based on which we get to the clean water. It's outside. There's Brussels. It's cool. Huh? These are the farmers, I think. Yeah? So the take-home message here is very simple. The cleaner the water is upstream, the less resources we would have to invest downstream when we process water towards drinking water, etc. Right? Why is that important? When you go to some of the stats, it's hard to read them, but the economic value, right, related or associated to water purification, it's something like 55 or whatever billion euros a year, right? So that's quite some money, right? So we do have problems with water in Europe, not only in Europe, also elsewhere. Since we're talking about Africa in the morning, in Africa we have even more problems, most unfortunately, as we have here. So one major...
Can I ask you to use this? And you have
So, okay. No, it's fine.
No, and also for the sound.
Okay, so we have many problems, and one major problem still we're having like too many nutrients in the landscape, and so for instance nitrogen in our natural waters, and so causing eutrophication, hypoxia, loss of diversity, and impacting fisheries all around the world, for instance. And so now we have many emergent pollutants, pharmaceuticals, microplastics, etc., etc. Right? So this is just like a kind of a glimpse on the status of the water bodies in Europe. This is not the latest one, but you see many of them are red, which is bad news. We have other problems. This one here, our river systems in Europe, as elsewhere as well, right? They are heavily fragmented. Only very, very few rivers today, right, are freely floating. Again, having major and drastic implications for the ecosystem health or for the environmental health. So this deteriorates indeed the quality of the water and erodes biodiversity. This is a very recent paper in Nature that shows that, yes, indeed, within Europe, for instance, we did quite a good job over the last 20 years, kind of decelerating the loss of biodiversity, but all at a sudden, this kind of efforts, they came to a halt, and in many regions within Europe, they've been decreasing. So the loss rate of biodiversity in rivers has increased again. Super bad news. Why? Because, so just have a look here at this upper map, so we are somewhere around here, and this lower map, the upper one shows us like the whatever incident human water security threat in red, does not look good, and just like kind of as a mirror, we see the same for biodiversity. So wherever we lose biodiversity in an ecosystem, we also lose like kind of the whatever environmental health or the integrity of the ecosystems there. And this brings me very simply to the point. So wherever the environmental health is at risk, the provisioning of clean water is at risk as well. So luckily enough, we have the water framework directives in the EU. And so the water framework directives are linked to a couple of other directives. We love directives in Europe. This is just like a kind of a snapshot from Germany. So this is 2015, 2021, and this is the target for 2027. So in something like 3 years. So here we see, like as per today, something like 10% of the rivers within Germany are in a relatively good state in green, but all the other ones, very bad state, right? And the point here with the water framework directives, still to a large extent, is based on very simple biological indicators, not taking into account the actual functioning of the ecosystems. So here's what we kind of propose, is we want to kind of propose novel integrated or aggregate indicators that really take into account the functioning of stream and river ecosystems. And there's something wrong here, but anyway, so the idea is that we want to take really like the pulse of these ecosystems to learn something about the health, the functioning of these ecosystems. And taking the pulse means like what is the metabolism, what is the cycling or the recycling of the nutrients, or in other words, what is the self-purification capacity of these systems, and these at very high frequency. To do that, we propose like a global river observation system across spatial scales, really like from distributed sensor networks within the rivers to satellites, and combining this with novel modeling frameworks. How to build such a global river observation system? The idea would be to have indeed, I'm almost done, to have indeed like long-term high-resolution monitoring, but then also according to the water framework directives, some more additional snapshot samplings, etc. What we have to get to, and I think this is a job for this league here of the technical universities, we have to move forward towards affordable sensors, right, that we can throw around, and sustainable sensors, so that we can kind of deploy in as many rivers worldwide. And with this, I would like to kind of close the loop. The healthier the systems are upstream, right, the more resilient the entire system down to the drinking water becomes. It's as simple as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tom. I'm curious if you drank microplastics or poorly quality water. I think microplastics. Nanoplastics. Sorry, yeah, nanoplastics. We have room for one short question. Anything coming in online?
Hello. I have very unintelligent question, Tom. What to do now? Where to drink water from? And how quickly can we arrive to the solution, actually, to have better quality water everywhere?
Where to drink water from?
Well,
what to drink?
You know, like as we do now, I guess, from groundwater. You know, we're all aware that the groundwater level is decreasing day by day, right? And the point is very simple. We need a kind of a stewardship program, right, for our surface waters. Right?
And we don't have it yet, so we need...
Not really. No, not enough. Definitely not enough, no.
How can we have it? How we can achieve that?
Well, I think what is very important is indeed, and that's our idea, so there are a couple of colleagues from around Europe and the US, so our idea is really to come up with such a global river observation system, taking the pulse so that people can see online what is the health of my river, right? And so to become really sensitive to this, right? And this may then kind of promote taking actions as well.
Hopefully, EuroTech researchers can get together as well.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to our next presenter about clustering microplastics in water with ultrasound. Wouldn't it have been cool, Tom, if we could have done it on the spot with your water and then made it clean? Assistant Professor of the Power and Flow Group of Eindhoven University of Technology, Yali Tang, is invited to the stage. Please give her a round of applause. Let me check which mic to use. Doesn't matter, you can use either if you want to move or...
Okay, fine.
just start. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Sorry, just
that's-
test if it works.
Yeah, this is the pointer,
this is the
and
pointer.
that's yeah.
Well.
Thanks a lot for the nice introduction. I'm Yali Tang from Eindhoven University. And unfortunately, I look around, I don't really see a familiar face. That's a pity. But you might wonder, why is she here? So I'm also asking myself, I think I'm here to tell you a bad news and a good news. I thought I'm going to tell the bad news, but actually all the previous speakers has told this news already. So this bad news is indeed plastic pollution has become a huge threat to the water resilience. This spoil out my message. But I have my good news, so they cannot spoil out. My good news is that I might have a solution to this problem, and I'm going to present our technology, the underdeveloping technology, on behalf of contribution from the people. Contribution from people here. They are our students and also my co-workers. And let me elaborate more. So I don't think I have to really dive in the problem so much, but I would like to highlight some numbers. Again, really. So around 500 million tons of plastics are produced annually worldwide. So that's a really huge amount of plastic we are using. And on the other hand, we also throw away a lot. So each year, around 8 million tons of plastic end up in our seas and oceans. And it is predicted by 2050, the oceans could contain more plastics than fish. Can you imagine? Well, I cannot, and I hope we don't get there. What makes it worse is that if you look at in the picture, all those plastic items like toothbrush, drink straw, or papers, and those are the items that we are using daily. If they end up in the environment or in the water system, all of them took more than couple of hundred years to disappear naturally. That's because those plastics, they are naturally not biodegradable. So we have to do something. We basically need to clean them out. And what even concerns more is so-called microplastics. So these microplastics refer to plastic particles in the size of between 5 millimeter to 1 micron. They can come from different sources, and you can think about when big plastic parts degrade or break down, they become smaller and smaller. On the other hand, they can also be directly released, for instance, from our use of for instance, toothpaste or cosmetics or cleaning gels. And they have additive of microbeans inside, then they will be directly released into our water system. Another important resource is that we are washing our clothes daily, and by washing clothes, the microfibers is produced, and they are actually released through the washing machine to the wastewater. So indeed, those microplastics are found everywhere. By the way, I think the previous speaker just drank the clips of water. There are a couple of microplastics inside. So there are some proof there, but we'll see. And what we need to do, actually, everyone can contribute to this problem. And one way is to control the site, to reduce the source where they come from. So let's reduce the usage of plastics. And another way which I'm going to present is to develop clean-up systems, and in a way that it becomes cheap. The challenge of cleaning microplastic from water is because of its size. It's really, really small. When it becomes micron-sized, you can barely see it by eyes. So we all know that the smaller the particle becomes, the more difficult to get it out from somewhere. That's basically the challenge. And of course, we also want to treat them in a way that it is effective, it is cheap, and also it should be environmental friendly. So that's the reason why we come up to develop a new novel technology. Our solution is to use sound waves. And how does it work? I will not dive into very technical detail, but it works basically we use sound wave to either collect particle in certain area of the channel, or we make them bigger and bigger. then we can filter them out. And we have this crazy idea. Our student is brave enough to quickly demonstrate it with, it looked like messy, but it took some time to bring all the pieces together. And if you see from the video here that the green dots are the plus particles, and they quickly being gathered into certain area and they grow bigger. What is even amazing is that this action happens in just seconds. It's very quick. So we are very amused by these findings, and then furthermore, the students try to build up more elaborate systems. So here we try to see, okay, can we really get it out and build a better system where we have, so inflow channel is containing water with microplastics, then go through a transducer, we generate the sound wave. Then here is a zoom-in system. You can see that the inlet, and especially here we have a small nozzle to collect the particles through the separation outlet, and the clean water should lead with a bypass outlet. So this is the schematic here. And just to show you what will happen, so if you can see in the video, indeed, the particles, they are focused in the center, and then they go through this small nozzle, and you can see that inlet we have the particle focusing, and they are separated from this channel. And for the bypassing, we leave out with clean water. And to better quantify, we are scientists, you believe in data, so if we look at the separation efficiency at different conditions, we can reach almost 100%. So that's really good. And currently we are busy to design and make a design of the real reactor or setup, you call it, and for a bigger system. And that's basically come into the end of my presentation. And the take-home message is that using acoustic technology is really to filter the microplastic from the water is technologically and environmentally and economically sustainable. And currently we are having one PhD student work on understanding and better this technology or the system, and to have better control and to build a design for the treatment of the washing machine wastewater. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ali. Let's see if there are any questions for you. Can you wait for a microphone? Yeah. Perfect.
Hi, what do you anticipate that the mechanism is, the removal mechanism?
Yeah, so I quickly, I didn't dive in, I quickly walk through that slide. So basically there are two methodologies. So first, indeed, we use the sound wave to generate standing wave. By generating standing wave, then you have area where it has low pressure, and those particles, they have an experience force drags them to the low pressure area. So that's why we call it acoustic focusing. Another way is that once they are close to each other, and because of high frequency a force, then they just stick together and they grow bigger and bigger. So you can imagine once they grow bigger, then it's easier to get them out by filtration, for instance. Yeah.
Was that an answer to your question?
Yeah. Thanks.
Perfect, thanks. Last question?
Yes, thank you very much. What do you? So you target washing machine, right? For the moment.
At this moment, yes.
Did you experience on bigger size of pipes, or just to see which size you can apply, and what is the energy, so we can use it for industrial purposes or something like this?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question. You are thinking ahead for our project. So indeed, that is one of the project plan. Indeed, you can see that one of the first demonstration we had was indeed a very small tube, a small scale. Of course, for real application, we need to scale up. And that's basically, if you can see the last picture where current design is much bigger. So we go step by step and towards a different type of real applications.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation. Give her one more round of applause. Our next speaker is a PhD student in the Plasma Physics Lab for the Institut Polytechnique de Paris. Please welcome Kasidapa Polprasaran, and she will present on cold plasma technology for water treatment and materials processes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gasidapa Punprasan. I am a PhD student from Plasma Physics Laboratory, Institute Polytechnique de Paris. Today, I'm going to talk in the topic of cold plasma technology for the water treatment and material processes. First of all, I would like to introduce you first what is the plasma. Plasma is the fourth state of the matter. Usually, we are used to the three states of the matter: solid, liquid, and gas. For example, that's working. Okay, water and vapor. And if you would like to change the state of the matter from solid to be the liquid and liquid to be the gas, you have to put or give energy to your substance. And if you would like to create the plasma, you have to give the energy more until it's able to ionize the gas atom. And it will be vibrate and turn to be the plasma. Unfortunately, by using this technique, it's very likely to find on our Earth less than 0.1% of the matter that we can find on the Earth. But it's 99.9% that we can find in the universe, for example, on our sun or in the universe, in the galaxy. In our lab, we use the different techniques. We will build the setup by using the two electrodes. This one, cathode and anode. And then apply some potential, a few kilovolt, that's kind of a lot. And then put the gas atom inside, few argon, noble gas. And we will, because of the electrostatic force, it will accelerate the electron, and then it will hit or collide the gas atom, and then it will ionize and turn to be the ion and electron. When it stay together, we will call this kind of state that is the plasma. This kind of the principle is the same as our lightning that we can see in our daily life. And when we find more the plasma in our daily life, I will give you a little bit more detail. I forgot about that, sorry. Because of plasma technology, they have many kinds of plasma. They have many types that you can find. In our presentation, in our lab, we are focused on the cold plasma. Why we call it cold plasma? Because of the electron temperature is higher than gas temperature a lot. That's why it's cold, because of the size of the electron is very small. Move forward on that, forgot about it. And then we will talk about where can we find the plasma devices in our daily life. If we put this setup into the tube, that's what shielded by the phosphor is the fluorescent lamp. Moreover, if you put this setup in the polluted air, and it's able to turn to be the clean air, and we will call that the air purifier. And then we move to the cold plasma research for the water treatment. What we are doing, we also use a very similar setup, and then we have the coupled electrode, cuvette. We fold the gas, apply the circuit, and then give the potential difference into our system to create the plasma. In our research, we are focused on the water, which is filled in the cuvette, and then we will treat the plasma on the water to create the plasma-activated water. In our lab, we are interested in how to transform the water to be the plasma-activated water, because we know that inside the plasma-activated water is full of oxygen and nitrogen species, or we can call it RONS. And why we interested in the water-activated plasma? There is a lot of applications on it. And the application that I will tell you today can divide into 3 domains. The first one is in agriculture. In agriculture, if we water the seed with the plasma-activated water, you will see that the plant is going up faster than the common water. And because of the nitrogen species that is full of in the plasma-activated water, it can absorb it by the plant directly. And by using this technique, we don't need to use the strong acid based on any complex chemical that is dangerous or damage our environment. This is the example of the literature review that use the plasma-activated water on the tomato and the pepper plant. You will see that it goes up faster than the other water. And I will move to the decontamination. Usually, our fruit or vegetable is the fresh one that will contaminate with the bacteria, unfortunately. And if you put the plasma-activated water on it, it will broader the cell membrane and interrupt the membrane disruption that happen with the plasma-activated water, and then you will kill it. That is very nice. And this is the example of the research that they work on that is it the Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. And after you put the plasma activated water, you will see that it have the cytoplasm broken inside of it. And move to the last one. Is it the water treatment process? In our world, there's two speakers before mentioned about it, that we have the contaminant of microplastic in our water. If you treat the plasma on it, you will see that the microplastic will combine and increase the size of it. That is help us to easy to filter it out from our wastewater. Is it example of the research that is it before treated plasma and is it after treated plasma? After treated plasma, you will see that they have the link between it and is it the polyethylene that's contaminated in our wastewater. I will give you a little bit more example. Is it the full polyfluoroalkyl substance? It's all PFAS. That is a big topic right now. Is it a chemical group substance that we can find it in our consumed water? Maybe in the gas also have it. And we can find the PFAS in everything because of their unique property. It can repel the water and the oil. For example, food container, resistant furniture, or photography. And if you treat the plasma on it, it will separate the structure to be PFOA and PFOS. That is very easy to eliminate. And all of them is this the application of plasma-treated water. And I would like to show you a really short movie on, sorry. I would like to play on it. I'm not sure that it's not working. Could you open the video, please? No, it's not. Okay, it's working. This is the water. This is a silver nitrate. I put the silver nitrate inside the water. You will see that the water is very clear and look very clean. After we treat the plasma and wet it a little bit, a few of minutes, you will see that they start to have some compound or component attack on the electrode. This is the plasma, and this is the copper electrode. I apply the gas inside the tube and then apply the potential difference into it. That's why we're able to create the plasma. And if you zoom in it, you will see that they have a component attack on it. So it means that even the water is really clean and clear, it doesn't mean that it's the clean water. So this is the example of the experiment. And we will not know that until we react with water with something. And this is the end of my presentation. If you are interested, you can steal this QR code. It's linked to my laboratory, and then they will help you. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Let's see if there is a question for you or a question online that's popped in. Yeli?
Thanks. Very interesting. I know that you also told that using plasma, you have to put a lot of energy. But can you please quantify, for instance, if we want to do a plasma active 1 liter of water, how much energy input we should have?
How much energy that you should have? Energy of the plasma, usually I can tell that it is in a few kilovolt. It's not I'm not sure that it's the unit of energy, but if you have the high voltage and you apply a few kilovolt with the gas and you should have the cloud, it will create the plasma.
Thank you very much. Yes. We only had time for one question, so thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. And let's give you a round of applause. It's time for our last showcase already. The last showcase is about tracing the links. Water, sanitation, and global health threats from antimicrobial resistance, wow, and infection stains. It's a senior researcher of the National Food Institute of the Technical University of Denmark. Please give a round of applause for Patrick Nyaji.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon. I tried to demystify the difficult to pronounce ones. I think I'll try to speak about antimicrobial resistance. I think you remember Alexander Fleming from the guy who came to save the world. So because a lot of people are dying out of lack of drugs, but now the problem is not lack of them, but the fact that they cannot work even when they are used. So that is antimicrobial resistance. But is it really a problem? We've seen really grand challenges here today. I thought it's not a problem until if we get a glimpse into the future doesn't look quite impressive. So if you look at the statistics, it's by 2050, it looks like this in terms of people who will die out of antimicrobial resistance each year. And it's like, to give you a hint, it's like 10 million people dying each year. It's almost like the whole of Belgium, they are dead, except 1 million, because it's around 11 million. That would be really disaster. Over the time COVID has, maybe the toll is even less than that for each year of antimicrobial resistance. We call it a silent pandemic because people are not paying attention, except, of course, that is rising. The scenario is like this. There is a pyramid, because it's only a lot of you are sick here today, and if you say it's mild, I wouldn't go to the doctor. A few will say, okay, it's persisting, let me go to the doctor, and eventually a few will get it tested here, either in the animals, it happens to the humans. So the picture we see is only a few parts of the population. So what can we do to look into everyone? Yeah, we can go taking samples from individuals, each one of you, but I might say no. But also there are ethical issues and national ethical committees, transfer protocols that bar you from doing anything. So, but can we do something? Yes. This one, this is free to sample. No one complains once it goes here. So we can get an idea of what's happening to large population by monitoring wastewater. And how can we do it? By taking a sample, removing, getting all the DNA in that sample, and then looking at it, we can get compositionally proportional the proportion of bacteria which are resistant in that sample, what it is, and maybe quantify how much resistance we might be having in that city. So we've studied 101 countries so far. And all over the world, and it's been increasing sampling that we conduct, right from water to get some inference. So, but the question is, how does it link to practice? If you tell us there is a problem, so what? So can we get some ideas on the way to tackle this? Yes, we have comparable data sets from all over the world. And then we have our 101 countries. Can we, number one, predict what is happening in the whole world, get a global map, because we cannot sample the whole world yet. And then can we also look at potential interventions? So we engage machine learning protocols to get a glimpse, to engineer the features and get a glimpse of this. So in terms of the outcome, our results showed something that the world is separated in AMR impact. So we have this really dark band here at the, South America, Africa, and Asia on one hand, but the rest of the population on the other hand. It's strange because Australia is also quite dry in terms of lack of water, but still it's doing very well in AMR. So, but the question is, what would be the factors that we'll have to look at? We'll have to look at if we look at predictors that predict higher AMR. They are the classical health, education, and others. And also sanitation. If we look at sanitation and water and open defecation, is also happening a lot. But also some effects of maybe climatic factor where we have in the drier season, we have higher AMR. But you might ask me, is this representative of what is happening in the humans? So our study showed that actually we are measuring most of the samples that we have. They are measuring actually clinical and really correlating with clinical what is happening in the hospitals, and this even what is happening to human fecal samples. So we are really measuring something that might be ecologically telling us what is happening to the humans. And over the different antibiotics, because this might change from antibiotic to antibiotic, 19 antibiotic, we see that consistently water, sanitation, and water variables explained most of the variation that we saw in resistance. So it all comes back to resistance. Then what are we doing about it also in the really repressed countries? We have this project that is starting already in the Great Lake region, quite an area that was really heavily impacted. It was funded last year, we started it. And the aim is to introduce these protocols. That this thing here is very small, it's like your memory stick, but initially the equipment used to be a huge lab space, but we can now, there's been reduced the size, so we can in real time resolve measurements that took 72 hours, even in here in Europe, we can measure them in a few hours. So we are pioneering that all over the world, and also to feed this to the policymakers. And this is the aim, and we are already doing that now with the Mpox outbreak in DRC, because it was one of the key work packages was disease X, and suddenly in the region there was an outbreak of Mpox, and we are even seeing new clades of Mpox. The world should do something, but thank goodness we had the methods and available to try and do something. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for making the link to indeed what was discussed this morning about Africa with the monkeypox, and that you can now instantly recognize them with, I imagine, this USB stick. Yep. Is there a question for Patrick?
Yeah, so I'm almost embarrassed to ask it, but I'm not sure what you're measuring. I can see that you could be measuring the viral load and then the amount of antibiotics, but are you just following viruses that have antimicrobial that are resistant already? Or all of the three?
Mostly viruses is not a problem, but bacteria. So we are actually measuring the genetic, the gene, the DNA genetic code that codes for resistance in the bacteria that are in the sample. The total bacterium, the total composition of all the bacteria. We have the DNA fragments extracted from the sample, and then we can tell, do we have genes, and what is the genetic components of these genes compared to different regions. So you can compare it really at the genetic level, which tells us what is happening also maybe at the bacterial. It has a good correlation with what is happening at the bacterial phenotype, that is how much they can resist also in the hospitals.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's give one more round of applause. We will now have a very short comfort moment, as we've called it, which means you can powder your nose or grab a glass of water if you feel like it, but we would like you to stay in the room if you don't need it, because we will use only 5 minutes for this. So if you don't need to powder your nose or you need no glass of water, then talk to your neighbor or the person in front of you, and otherwise see you back here at 3:15. Welcome back. In this room, it's a bit warm. Some of you mentioned we've asked for the air conditioning to be turned on, so hopefully you will feel a bit more comfortable there too shortly. As was promised in the beginning of this afternoon, we would have a panel where research, industry partners, and also people from the European Commission were present. This is the part where we've ended up right now. So you see four chairs on the stage. 3 people will be joining our panel on the stage, and 2 people will be joining our panel online. So you will shortly see them online on the screen behind you. I will introduce all 5 of them to you, and the 3 people in the room I would like to invite to join us on stage. Bertrand Vallée, Eran Friedler, Daphne Kelman-Grondhadeker, Jesper Borg Christensen, and Klaus Hohmann. Please join us on stage. You all 3 have microphones. Let's wait for the online speakers to pop up. I see one of them is already online. Yes, hi Daphne. And the other one should pop up soon with an image. Yes, there we are. Hi Klaus.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. I should look this way if I want to communicate to you, but I look this way if I see you, so it will be a mix of both. As we did in this morning, some of you may know this, we will first do a round where we introduce you, so the audience can get to know your background, what you're in the panel for, and what your experience is. And we will do that by introducing you one by one and asking you a question. And the request for all of you is to make sure that you briefly answer these first questions, so that leaves us with enough time for the discussion afterwards. First, Bertrand, you're the policy officer with the focus on research and innovation on water from the European Commission. And what are the research focus points that the Commission is stimulating?
So, good afternoon, everybody. Actually, indeed, we are looking at research in water. Specifically in our unit, Horizon Europe is the program funding. There are 3 pillars, and we are more looking at the pillar 2 that is focused on societal challenges, or the clusters, and the cluster related to agriculture, natural resources, and biodiversity. Let's say the angle that we take in this cluster is having a holistic approach of water. So we try to look at the water management in a holistic way, and to develop solutions, especially in relation to also circular economy, and to try to foster the circularity of water and recovered materials inside the program. With some funding tools that we can explain later.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will move to Eran. Eran, you are the head of the Technion Water Research Institute. And what is the main hurdle that you see in water resilience? It's turned on, yeah.
I see several. First of all is interactions between different sectors of the urban water cycle. I mean, between potable water, wastewater, stormwater, and people deal with them independently now, but they should be dealt together, and there are a lot of interactions between them. Another thing is the human aspect, us. Well, we are convinced, we are here in this room, but not everyone is convinced. And also there is a need of courage from regulators to shift from our linear paradigm to a more circular one that has some, you need courage to leap forward from the current paradigm to the new one.
Yeah, so we should be bold enough to take that step.
Mostly regulators that are very conservative, at least from where I come from.
Yeah. Let's meet one of our online speakers, Daphne Kelman-Grondhadeker. You're the chair of the Urban Water Systems Engineering at the Technical University of Munich. And what is the relevance for EU taxpayers of investing in water security in Africa? And then maybe also to make the bridge to the integrated water, energy, food ecosystem nexus approach that our keynote speaker already mentioned for us.
Thank you. Slight correction. I'm not the chair professor, in case my boss is also online. That's Professor Dreves. I'm a research group leader, leading the Water, Energy, Food Nexus research group. So my projects are mainly in Africa. The relevance for EU taxpayers, I would say, is that if we look as an example at sub-Saharan Africa, we can see there a compounding of the huge climate change impacts, which especially drought, will be compounded by populations that have the lowest human development index in some countries and also very weak governance structures, as we can see, especially in the last years, meeting together. And the main resource of water there is groundwater, but the groundwater levels are not being systematically monitored due to a lack of capacity. So the water security issues are very severe. And this is a key factor in the degenerating social stability in the region. So the EU, as we know, is a target region for this climate migration, and this will be increasing hugely in the coming decades. The cost of addressing this water issue will be huge, but that may be a lot less than trying to integrate millions of migrants or even trying to prevent migration. So as was already said in one of the last sessions, this was not charity at all, but it's really a necessity to act very targeted there. And also we in the EU, as we can see, need to learn about how to handle drought. So we need to learn from countries who have longer lasting experiences than we have urgently.
Yeah, thank you very much. In the room, we also see Jesper Bo Christensen, Head of Research and Education at Water Valley, Denmark. Jesper, can you give an example of what you do with Water Valley, Denmark to speed up water resilience?
Yes, and thank you for joining the panel. What we do is that we work with open innovation in Water Valley, Denmark. We have been established by the companies, by the utilities, and by the universities working with water technology, trying together to address the big challenges. And the way we concretely do it is that we bring together leading developers from these partner members twice a year for one day. And they basically have to, they can't leave basically before they come up with solutions. Yeah. Or not solutions, but at least defining the missions which we need to find solutions on. What are the biggest challenges we want together to take? It's the wicked problems we are looking for, those that individual companies cannot solve themselves on their own.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we will hear more about this later. And then Klaus, joining us online, Klaus Holman, the Chief Strategic Officer at Arus Fund, and your company as a water utility. How do you work together with other partners to create a platform for innovation on water technologies?
Well, thank you for the invitation to participate today. Our work is based on the challenges at utility, our challenge and our ambitions to create health through clean water, which is very essential. And I think the challenges and the ambition are increasing, just like technology and possibilities to make new and better solutions. So we need to accelerate our development, but also how we partner and collaborate with other partners. So we created along the whole water circle at our utility, taking drinking water, stormwater, climate water, we could say, but also wastewater, which we will call resource recovery today, into different areas. So we have 3 living labs organized in one, where we work together with academia, universities, industry partners, regulators, authorities, customers, but also our international network of utilities called 5 Waters, both in US, in UK, in Australia, in Portugal, and we have, of course, other collaboration partners. So we actually tie partners into areas where we need to share a quick development in that living lab, either sponsored by our own funding, because we need that development to happen fast, or it's funded by industrial partners who actually pay for our work and other to carry out the work that is needed to drive a new development. So we're not only taking our own interest, we're also taking the interest of the region, of Denmark and the world as the best we can. So it is a new approach, and we're doing things very fast and in a very open way, like Jesper also mentioned about open innovation, but also very one-to-one when it comes down to IP, etc. So there are also possibility to keep your secret within the companies that need that as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Klaus. And you mentioned Jesper, indeed. What we'll start with is, where do we stand now when it comes to creating water resilience? And Klaus, you mentioned Jesper. Jesper, what is it that you do within your foundation to support this? Can you briefly explain?
Yes. So what we basically do is that we have a proven concept of how we work with the innovation process, in the sense that when we have defined these missions we want to undertake, then we start with co-learning together, figuring out what is really the cause, what's really the challenge we face, and then together we co-create the solutions which could deal with the challenge we have defined, and then at the end we co-effectuate. We find out, so how are we going to make this results in the world.
Yeah. And when you say we, who do you mean?
Well, it's this broad partnership between companies and utilities and universities across 4 different universities in Denmark.
Yeah. So it's really a mix of research, industry, utilities collaborating.
Yes.
Yeah. Is this something that you also see in the work that you do, Iran?
We are more concentrated on research, obviously, because we are in university. What we try to do is actually to go to these cross-sectoral interactions to see what happens if, I'll give an example. I've been working recently on rainwater harvesting, and people work on rainwater harvesting as mean of saving water. But then if you design it differently, a bit differently, and you use IT, then you can have a dual objective of saving potable water, which is very important in our region, but also in reducing stormwater, which is not less important, and it's going to be more important in the future. So trying to look at mutual benefits, cross benefits, and cross interactions. This is what we are trying to do.
Daphne, I see you nodding.
Yeah, I listen to a voice called partnership and multiple bottom lines which are important. If we want to do a lot of new development and we still have the same funds or money, which we more or less do, we just had to create more output from the activities that we're doing, and that's the only way we can accelerate progress with the speed we need. So I'm very happy to hear that. It's just a different context from Waterval Denmark, I understand.
Yeah. And Daphne, how is that for you?
Well, absolutely. I think this topic, rainwater harvesting, resonates very much with me as well, to underline why the nexus, so the water, energy, food ecosystem nexus, is absolutely key to speeding up action on water security and closing the loop. So I want to give an example of our project in Niger, where we made the experience that the classical research and pilot project implementation is very much sectoral. So in our consortium, we're designing a PV solar system in order to pump groundwater from even deeper levels. And our task was to design the groundwater storage tank. And we thought, well, if we keep pumping from deeper and deeper, it's not sustainable in the long term. If the PV solar panels break down, the water security is not improved. So what would happen if we start thinking systemically, taking the nexus approach? So if we look at the region, there is a lot of rainwater and there are regular issues with flooding, but this rainwater is not treated as a resource and not systematically captured. But if we think about trying to use it to bring up the groundwater level, then we can actually save energy, because the groundwater doesn't have to pump from so low. And if we start thinking about linking that to ecosystem regeneration, grassland regeneration, to aid the infiltration of rainwater, that brings us to heightened food security as well as the ecosystem, which is more intact, can support life better. So that's an example of why the water, energy, food ecosystems nexus can help us to speed up development of resilience, and can also help us to speed up climate action, because it brings together adaptation and mitigation aspects very directly. So we can kill several birds with one stone, for want of a better saying.
Yeah, thank you. For the AV people, can we have the faces of the online speakers on the screen so we can actually have a panel? The panelists can see each other. Thank you. Bertrand, how does this relate to what you do at the Commission and what you try to support?
So it's very good because we have the same approach. I would say we had funded a lot of projects. So currently it's Horizon Europe. Before we had Horizon 2020, and within Horizon 2020 we funded a lot of projects to define solutions so we can actually close the loop, as the brilliant title of the conference is chosen. But to be able to recycle the water and to recover nutrients or other materials like cellulose or bioplastics from the wastewater. And also the objective is a bit to say, okay, we need to reduce the pressure on the natural resources, on the natural environment, and if we manage to have this use of water that is really circular, and we can reuse the water that we inject, then we have more water available for other uses that are not that are dependent from the natural resources, like agriculture. So we have a lot of work ongoing with the WIF and Nexus. We have a partnership also because obviously climate change is making this situation happening across Europe, but we have a huge, let's say, knowledge that have been developed around the Mediterranean Sea because these problems are coming more for longer time in the Mediterranean Sea. So we have this partnership PRIMA. So this is the Partnership for Research and Innovation in the Mediterranean area that is indeed focusing on the WIF indexes. So it's primarily to join agriculture and water management. Sorry. But there is all the problem that Daphne was mentioning about the energy and the rationalization of the energy that is around this question. We have another partnership with is Water for All. We try to bring solution providers and problem owners together to find solutions around water-oriented living labs that allow to test and to demonstrate locally what are the instruments. And we also have the tools like the mission. So we have 5 missions, and 4 out of these 5 missions are with a connection with water. One more specific that is Restore Our Ocean and Waters, where these, let's say, solutions that have been developed try to be uptaken locally and to promote also with the access to citizens and to try to foster the uptake by the local communities, because we know that there is a lot of issues when the solutions are not accepted by the local communities, and I'm thinking about water reuse, for instance. We were discussing the water reuse for drinking water purposes. This is also a lot of acceptance by the local communities, and the missions are instruments that are dedicated to bring research and innovative solution a bit closer to the citizens and the communities.
Yeah. Shall we listen to an example from Iran?
Yeah.
Because that's an example you're working on, right? The uptake of these solutions.
Yeah, we've been working here and there on public acceptance, regulatory aspects, and so on. So some of the regulators are more open-minded, but some of them are more conservative, especially Ministry of Health is very conservative, and it's very hard. Well, in certain points you say, look, it's much easier to say no to everything than to say yes and take a little risk.
Do you have a good example where a little risk was taken?
Well, with rainwater harvesting, it was banned in our country, and now it is allowed, all right? So this is a little risk. Otherwise, I'm very frustrated. But there are a lot of lessons to learn. Not that we are more intelligent, because we live with scarcity over 4 decades now, and we have taken a lot of steps. So just come and see what we have done, and not all what we have done is right. We probably had some mistakes on the way, but we massively reuse wastewater, predominantly for agriculture. There is national water carrier, but there is almost a national treated wastewater effluent carrier that is going on. So on one hand, we have very good centralized solutions, but the decentralized solutions, since we have a good centralized ones, they don't have enough power to start from grassroots.
Mhm.
So this is the challenge we stand now.
Yeah. And Bertrand, you mentioned 4 missions. I think you mentioned 2 of them.
Yes.
What were the other 2?
So, no, I mentioned one. I only mentioned one. No, we have 3 other missions. One on climate adaptation, where we try to reach 150 climate neutral region, and we have one on climate neutral and smart cities, where we try to reach 100 climate neutral and smart cities. So this is the objective, and the soil deal for Europe. So you see that all are linked to soil, what we do with water inside cities, and what we do with water with region, especially with too much or too few waters, which are really relevant for the discussion today. I was also thinking of what we do, because we have. There are a lot of. We were talking about governance before a bit. There are a lot of research that is also done on governance, and to see what should be the appropriate governance system to help to have these different use and to reduce the pressure on the environment. So we have this. We also have a project in the Common Work Program looking at alternative water resources. So we try with the program to fund research in order to find these solutions. The key issue is that we see the problem of often having brilliant ideas but not uptaken by the market. So this is one of the issue that we see, and we try to foster this with a coordination and support action related to circular economy, so specifically for circular economy at that point.
So you all need each other. You have these missions and the proposals, but there's also research to be done and an uptake in industry.
Yeah, exactly. And we try to foster this research also with the alternative. So the regular work program of Horizon Europe with certain topics that can be proposed.
Shall we look at research and industry and see what's necessary for the uptake or the research?
Yeah. Let's look at it, please.
Jesper?
Well, I think regarding regulation, I think we have a good example in Denmark of how far you can go to foster innovation through regulation. We in Denmark, if you are a utility, if you have more than 10% leakage, then you have to pay extra. So that have actually really been an innovation motor for new solutions in Denmark. So while the world average on leakage is 40%, in Denmark it's about 5%.
Do you have an example of one of these innovations?
I think maybe Klaus can tell more about that, even better than me.
Klaus?
Yeah, of course there's a lot of technical innovation related to smart meters, for example, being able to sensor leaks within a certain range. Also new system for leak detections, and also IT system actually measuring volumes in water system, pressure handling based on what is the actual need of water and what should be the pressure be, and reduce pressure overnight when flow is low in order not to have too much leak in the leaks you have, etc. I mean, there's a lot of technical matters, and
how big is this improvement we're looking at? Because you mentioned these leaks a couple of times.
yeah, leak in water distribution systems.
Yeah, and how big is the improvement based on the innovations that you've seen in the past years?
In Denmark, some of the utilities are down to 4% non-revenue water, only losing 4%.
And what's normal?
If we are above 10%, we had to pay a fee. And in the past, I mean 20 years back, we were more closely to 15%. And the numbers in Europe are far bigger, especially Southern Europe. And that comes also to cultural issues like preventive maintenance and the affordability to replace old pipes. Because if you don't do things like that, you're not able to get to 4%. And it's also how you estimate the value of water and how much should you invest to minimize the leaks. If your water is very cheap, I mean, you can lose it without losing money, but it costs a lot of energy. And if you don't pay the actual price for water, I mean, you don't lose anything. But if you pay the actual price, you know how precious it is. So this ties into a very complex thing where you need to have innovation in terms of how you organize yourself around the utility, how you organize yourself around the legal measures, and how you can have different drivers actually to lead you to a certain place where you want to go.
Yeah, I think this is one of the examples Bertrand was looking for, maybe how to stimulate uptake.
Yeah, I think that there are different. There is a cultural dimension indeed. There is also I think a vision in the past where, okay, it's not that problematic. Water is going back to nature, so it's an expensive water, but we can lose it because it's going back in the environment, and it's not really lost as you could lose a commodity. The problem is that now we see more and more this lack of resource, and every drop that we lose is an issue. So hopefully we will have measures that will incentivize to have a better care of the water. And indeed, the value of water is something that we think about the monetary value. We don't think about the value it has for ecosystem, for human, for just continuing industry and to have an activity. It requires water for every activity that we do every day. So just to I think Daphne mentioned migration. I think this is also vital to understand that if we are not taking care of the resource, we put pressure on others. And in our daily life, I mean, we had the example of Morocco, that where 80% of the water is used for agriculture, but is also pumped in the groundwater and then exported. So you export the water towards other countries, and this is something that needs to be addressed, studied, and this is a bit what we try to do with the research that we found.
Yeah, thank you. Daphne, would you like to respond?
Well, absolutely. I think that migration is a key issue, and it starts with taking care of our resources at home. I think in a city like Munich, we have a lot of capacity, so we also need to take on the responsibility to demonstrate how to manage water efficiently, even if we have a lot of water, especially since it has been raining for 1 week. But I also believe that we have got all of the technical and non-technical solutions in place, but the upscaling and how to transport them more quickly is really the key issue. And like on our end on the university, one of the issues is really that we are facing these very short time periods of 3 or 4 years to try and implement a project and to demonstrate something. And the result, especially in the context like Africa is that there are these UFOs sitting in the landscape that stop working when people leave. So if we have longer timeframes, I think that gives us the opportunity to work more deeply with the context in order to adapt these technical solutions to individual places. And this is really not a trivial question in terms of environmental engineering. For example, how to store rainwater or how to do managed aquifer recharge in a country like Niger is really difficult to think about. Also incentivizing to the local communities, how to create business opportunities out of that to make it a long-lasting solution. So we really need longer timeframes in order to take up that challenge more systemically. We've been working in northern India in one community for 12 years now. We can see that it took 1 decade just to get to the point where we can talk about this kind of complex approach and taking a systemic pathway.
And is it now then being implemented in India in this one example?
It's being implemented in the sense that our dialogue with the local government is ongoing. They've come back to us just last summer to say that the centralized sewage system that they have been implementing for 10 years that we recommended in the beginning would not be working very well. Now it's not working very well, and they want us to think about how to implement the alternative solutions. So we have everything in place except the funding to try and do a pilot project in order to demonstrate in the region how we can do water reuse, manage aquifer recharge, soil regeneration, ecosystem regeneration, and hopefully we will be implementing more in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Can we see the questions from online, please? So what we've heard so far for the uptake is to make sure that there is uptake from industry, also giving maybe money concerns to make sure that there is some sort of pressure that you have to implement things. From research, Daphne, you clearly mentioned it needs a longer time span to have these conversations and to implement these things. We can have the speakers here and then the questions over here. Let's see what questions we have from the online audience. The first one, is there any mechanism to detect water leakage at urban water distribution networks? And how much is the proportion of water loss? I think you partially answered, Klaus, but I think it's a question for you. Is there anything else that you can say about the detection?
There's a lot of technical solution actually to measure water leakage, and there's also a solution to minimize it.
Yeah, can you mention one?
Yeah, I mean, Kamstrup has in their advanced meters, they have sensors actually that are able to measure it. So, but you can also have system where you actually listen to your pipe, and if it has a noise, there are noise loggers established on the pipes that will send you a message that now we have a leak in this area. And there are many others actually. In areas where it's very dry, you can do scanning and see wet areas around pipes and so on. I mean, there's really local solutions also to these measures that are more advanced than other, depending on where you are in the world. So I would say it's more about having a system where you motivate organization to minimize leakage. That is the big missing piece.
Thank you very much. Let's see, a next question. Is there any mechanism to get a working team on water management, mainly conserving groundwater and protecting ground and surface water from pollution? Bertrand?
Well, I don't know if there is a mechanism, but we funded 3 projects, especially on this topic of protection of groundwater, and they formed a cluster. Actually, they have a workshop in Brussels in 2 weeks. So we can post the advertisement for this cluster. This is one of the big. So we have protection of groundwater and protection of drinking water, also our monitoring of drinking water. And it's a cluster that is called Zero Pollution for Water. So if you look for it, you will find some information on this. But this is I think it's one of the key issue, as it was already said before, the cleaner the water is from the beginning, the easiest it is to manage it and to accommodate for different uses. So it's one of the key aspects. And it's also transferred in the Drinking Water Directive, actually, to monitor and to have a risk-based approach related to the protection of drinking water upstream.
Yeah, thank you very much. There are also people online looking to collaborate. This is probably also something, if this can be posted, where people can find things like these. Are there also any questions in the room? There's a question over here. You will get a mic.
Hello again, that's Irina. Thank you very much for giving these insights on the importance of Wi-Fi nexus, its complicities, and the role of research and innovation in all this context. My question will be to Bertrand. Of course, we're aware of this Horizon Europe mechanism, very operational, uniting researchers and private sector. So, yeah, very good mechanism. So I was thinking, referring to the morning session and to examples given here and the EU, African Union Innovation Agenda. So can you give us some insights? Would there be further dedicated calls encouraging cooperation exchanges between European and other regions, African, for example, on water and related issues?
So I'm sorry, I cannot give this kind of information now because the work program is not yet published and decided, and we will have a new commission. So it's a practical excuses, I understand, but
an actual cliffhanger again.
Yeah. So go to vote because we need support for further action. No, we also have a direction. So DG INPA that is also investing in different regions. So this is the international aspect. So as I said, with the northern of Africa, we have the partnership PRIMA that is a dedicated call to around the Wi-Fi nexus, but it's mainly in the Mediterranean area. We had in the past a research project with Africa, so we may have calls that could come back, but I don't have the insight on what will be programmed. But it's happened in the past, so it can come back also, especially if water resilience is one of the aspects that is promoted with the next commission. So we should have support of this type of actions.
No, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to know from our researchers? The examples from Denmark, the European Commission. Yes. Can you wait a second until you have a mic? Thank you very much.
Hello, Boris Kam from Eindhoven University of Technology. So we've been talking about mostly about technological fixes. So we didn't discuss much about not doing the things we're doing. Like we can still do things, maybe in a nicer way, in a more useful way, or more in an efficient way. But then can't be technology about not doing things. That's my silly and naive question, because if you still talk about technological fixes, like you do better cars and there will be more cars. You better technologies for water treatment, then more water use. So is there a way, or is there any perspective on using less water?
Aaron?
Well, over the decades, if you look at home appliances, so washing machines, dishwashers, have significantly reduced the amount of water they use per full load, probably by 50–60%, which is a lot. Dishwashers now, full cycle could be between 9 and 11 liters, whereas 20 years ago it was 30. So it's a big difference. But on the other hand, all the shower heads are much bigger. And when I started working and teaching, we used to say that a shower is about 30 liters per person per day. And it's the same people taking the same showers. It's now 50 liters per person per day. Because they have this power shower, rainwater shower, whatever. And so some technological advances are on the right way, but some of them are contradictory. And to the question you asked, I think that we start to have a look at fit for purpose quality. What's the rationale of taking water, right, treating it to very, very high standard, and then flushing it down the toilet? Why? Why should you invest so much effort in that, whereas you can do it differently?
How could you do it differently?
Look, you look at Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong they flush toilets with seawater, and they have adapted wastewater treatment plants that can treat the wastewater. All right, so you have a dual distribution system. In Australia, they have dual distribution systems where toilet flushing is fed, not in all Australia, in some countries in Australia, states, not countries, states in Australia. They have dual distribution systems where irrigation, garden irrigation is done with treated wastewater effluent, and also toilet flushing. There is, where I come from, agriculture is not the major user of potable water. It's urban water, because agriculture uses second-hand water, all right? Yeah. And this was led by the government. So there are solutions, there are complications there, because if you start to go into cities, into buildings, you need dual distribution systems, maybe dual collection systems, and so on and so forth, but it is achievable, it is solvable. Yeah. But I think that the need will bring the motivation, because the science is there.
Jesper, you also wanted to respond.
One of the missions we are undertaking at the moment is looking really into how can we help the very much water-consuming industries reduce their water use dramatically. We are especially focusing on the food industry and the pharma industry. And we work close together with Novo Nordisk, for instance, about how to also much better clean all the ingredients which comes out from the production of new medicals, and in that way be able to use the water several times. Within the food industry, already a company like Carlsberg, they have shown that they have managed to reduce their use of water when making a beer from 5 liter to 1.4 liter of water. So
for the same amount of beer.
Yeah. For the same beer.
Yeah.
Basically.
Bertrand?
Yes, I think you pointed out right that we have to also look, because when we look at indeed improving efficiency in general, at least with energy, you increase the use. So you will not reduce the impact global, you will have more use. We need to be careful with that. And I think it's a lot of governance, and to look at the governance, and this is a bit what we looked at in our project. We can improve. We can have monitoring system also. I think water efficiency is not something that is very well defined. So we need to look at what is a water efficient system with this holistic approach of a scarce resource and multiple use that are connected to it. So this is some aspect that, at least in Europe, are not yet integrated. and I have not the knowledge of what is happening outside Europe on this topic, so I cannot state this for the moment. But I think there is a huge question here, and we have a lot of technical solutions that we can do nearly all quality of water, except perhaps for PFAS, but I see that some people are working on it, so I'm happy with that. And the question after that is, okay, what do we need as technology where in order to really manage the resource? The first thing being quantifying the available resource, quantifying the needs for certain use, and to see the balance. Not forgetting the ecosystem, because the ecosystem is always the one that is left behind, where it should be one of the key issues. And you have solutions that are also not technological. We are talking about nature-based solution. I think for rainwater harvesting or managing of rain, we have a lot of possibilities to implement this nature-based solution in order to allow restoration of the natural cycle of water, especially in cities where we should deconstruct the city more than building on it.
So you said, what do we need? What is it we need? You mentioned some of the examples. It's already time to wrap up our roundtable. So I would like the speakers also on this screen again, please, if possible. And the question for you is, we're here to see how can we close the loop, how can we build water resilience. What is the main message that you would like to give to the audience, either as something that you've missed in this discussion or something that's really something you would like to highlight from the discussion? Klaus, can I start with you?
Yeah, be courageous. I mean, it's not easy to change existing systems. And we need to do that. We need to build sustainable and efficient water cycles. And we need to act locally and share knowledge globally, because all the solutions are there. And thank you.
Thank you. Iran, what's it for you?
I think that, Klaus took my words. So, but above from that, we need integration. And integration in many aspects. Integration of different sources, integration between centralized and decentralized, integration between countries. Because I had a project with a colleague in Denmark, and completely different climates, different motivation, but then the tools are quite similar. So we have to integrate, and we are a global village. So I think that in many aspects you need integration.
Yeah. Thank you. Jasper?
Yes. I think what would really improve our ability in Europe to accelerate the innovation would be to establish this European ecosystem of innovation within water technology and water broadly, also towards marine and maritime, and that therefore we also are very much engaged in being part of a European consortium which will apply for this coming knowledge and innovation community, which is likely to be made public soon, and I think which will likely come out the call next year. Yeah. Because I think that's really a clearly further boost for the water industry if we can get this European ecosystem of water innovation.
Collaborate broader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We really need that. Also include outside Europe. I think that's also a part of the ambition with these knowledge and innovation communities, that we should also use it as a way to strengthen collaboration with neighboring countries to Europe and abroad.
Thanks. Bertrand?
Well, I think what we need is indeed to have an uptake of this solution that we are funding. We also need to have member states involved, so we try to do our best on research and innovation with these partnerships. Hopefully, we deliver a solution that they are more aware than if we wouldn't have this partnership. We need now to accelerate because we saw the figures on the Water Framework Directive. This is not very promising. But so we actually need courage. We also need to work on the long term and to not be discouraged if things are not coming up so
and people
fast.
should look out for your proposals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just be open to what will come, and hopefully we will find solution and have good researchers in this consortium.
Yeah. And these researchers, Daphne, what is your main message? How to speed up the action when it comes to water resilience and closing the loop?
So there is one thing that I could really wish for. It would also be more courage, but especially, I think, looking to the European Commission. So I think we really need to rethink ourselves in this day and age, and we just cannot allow ourselves to be wasteful of any of our resources, especially water, any longer. We need to get out of this post-World War II mentality where we are happy about having luxury into the climate crisis. Ecosystem collapse is taking place right now, and we need to stop emitting greenhouse gas emissions today, like now or yesterday, and not tomorrow. And we can do it. I think we can easily do it if we get some good suggestions. Everybody, since the movie that Al Gore made, has been waiting for the governments to say, please stop driving your car, or please switch off your energy-intensive things or whatever. It's all possible, but we need someone to speak out, and I think the European Commission is in a good place to do it because everyone looks to Europe to find the lighthouse examples, and so why not take the courage to ban plastics that are not necessary for single-use packaging, or to ban SUVs, or ban all kinds of things that we generally agree are driving environmental degradation in a big way.
So we started with courage and we end with courage. Thank you very much. I would like one big round of applause for the panel online and on stage. Thank you very much for discussing the things we run into and the solutions that you see in place or that you wish to be implemented. And there were also some needs, and luckily research always continues. And I would like to invite Tatiana back on the stage together with Andreas Mortensen. To hand out the EuroTech Future Awards, the awards for early career researchers who make excellent contributions to a more sustainable world. And Tatiana and Andreas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Jolien. Well, yes, this is that time of the day for a little celebration. And maybe some of you noticed that we have some props on the stage. And we also have something like this on the side. And when we say in every good theater, if there is something on the stage, it has to be used at one point, right? So this is that point of the day when we're gonna use them. And now I have also 3 envelopes in my hands. And I'm going to reveal, with Andreas' help, of course, our 3 winners, starting from number 3. But first, what is EuroTech Futures Award, right? So we started this only last year. And the idea for this competition between our young talents, and when I say young talents, it's somebody who already holds PhD, so it's a young postdoc or somebody just in the first 5 years of his or her career, because we wanted to celebrate young talents, and we wanted to see actually what our young researchers aspire to do in the future. And we are talking all day today about the future of the planet. We need to find solutions. And of course, it's down to these fantastic people, our young talents, to find these solutions. That's why we think it's very important to celebrate them. So what we ask them to do is to present their projects, their research, but they should address UN Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, so it can be anywhere in the world. So they don't need to target only European challenges, but global challenges, of course. And we receive many proposals, brilliant proposals. I have to say, we were very pleasantly surprised how fantastic young researchers we have. And we have very high-level panel, and they're all vice presidents for research from our 6 universities, and Andreas is one of those amazing people who assess these projects. So there is a lot of knowledge in the young researchers, there is a lot of knowledge in the jury, and they chose 3 projects which they thought were the best in that cohort. And I start from number 3. And so this is our first winner, Melissa Bernard-Val, and Melissa will be, and she is, on the screen now. Melissa couldn't join us here in the room because she's in Australia, so it was a little bit far to travel for her. But Melissa is our young researcher from Technical University of Denmark. And she has from PhD from National Autonomous University of Mexico, so it's international talent as well. And guess what? Melissa is working with the snakes. So she's looking to find, and she found already, antivenoms and uses nanobodies to treat coral snake envenomation. So congratulations, Melissa, and maybe you could tell us a couple of words about your project, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. I feel absolutely honored to be selected here and to be able to tell you a little bit more about this project. And well, just very briefly, snakebite envenomation, you probably know it is a neglected tropical disease and it kills over 100,000 people every year worldwide. So it's really important that it is addressed. And so this project aims to improve current antivenoms. And current antivenoms save a lot of lives, but they are made in animals. They are made by immunizing animals like horses or sheep with small amounts of venom. So what we are trying to do is generate an antivenom that is not made in animals, but it can be recombinant. So this means that it can be made in bacteria, and that would allow an antivenom to be produced exactly the same for everyone, and no need to have to use the venoms or the animals. This will give it much better reproducibility. That would be one. And other thing is that you can make it completely temperature stable, so it can actually get to the places in tropical regions where the snake bites happen, and we wouldn't require, for example, a cold chain that in many cases we do not have in the tropical region where snake bites actually happen. So we have been able to make this type of antivenom for coral snake venoms. And this is great because it means that it is possible to do it for venoms that are complicated. So they have more than 2 toxins or 2 types of toxins that cause envenomation in humans. And this gives us hope that we can make these recombinant antivenoms for other more complex venoms like rattlesnake venoms or cobra, mambas that kill a lot of people in the world. So there is a lot that we still need to do, but I think it's moving forward, and there is a lot of hope for better treatments for everyone around the world.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Well, Andreas is showing you your trophy and your certificate, and of course, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And of course, you're welcome. You're welcome to Brussels to collect it. Otherwise, we will pass it to you to Denmark with some colleagues, and we wish you all the best in your career and to progress with that, because saving lives, it's a very noble mission. Yeah. So thank you very much, Melissa, and congratulations once more.
Thank you.
So our second winner is from EPFL, and his name is Yudon Shue. So perhaps Yudon can be on the screen as well. Yes, here is Yudon. Where are you, Yudon? Where are you now?
In China, so that's why it's a pity that I cannot join in person.
Yes, okay, so yes, you can see another international talent and also joining our overseas, so actively researching around the globe. And you don't actually the same like Melissa, he is Marie Skłodowska-Curie beneficiary, so it's very nice to see that young colleagues already collaborating with the European Commission funding programs. And can you tell us, Yudon, a little bit about your project, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction. It's my great honor to be here today to obtain this EuroTech Future Award. My research journey is driven by a passion for using nanotechnology to revolutionize sustainability. I'm working on developing advanced nano coatings and exploring their sustainable applications. One focus has been developing nano coating for electrocatalytic water splitting, crucial for the clean hydrogen production. I use the atomic layer deposition technique. We create a lot of high performance water splitting catalysts, which is good for the large scale hydrogen production. We have also advanced the environmental catalysis field with this transition metal-based nano coating. This kind of nano-coated electrode can achieve nearly 100% of organic pollutant degradation in high salinity wastewater, moving us towards cleaner water. In healthcare, my research has extended the lifetime of medical oxygen concentrate adsorbents through this kind of nano coating to protect the surface, to repair the water absorption, and make the oxygen therapy more reliable and affordable, especially in resource-limited regions. So in total, we are pushing the nano-coating application to several critical challenges in renewable energy, environmental protection, and healthcare problems. So those advancements align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and also which is the spirit of progress and innovation for this EuroTech Future Awards to celebrate. So overall, I feel really grateful for this opportunity to share my research with you today. So I hope if you want to make some collaboration, feel free to reach out to me via emails or via the in-person discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yudon, and congratulations. It's a very good connection to the topic of our event today, because your research is very relevant to wastewater treatment. So it's fantastic, and congratulations once more. We will find a way to pass you your trophy, of course, and certificate. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, and the first prize. I mean, our winner already knows this by now because we have this person in the room. And this Patricia Mora from the Technion. Patricia, can we have you on the stage, please? So another international talent. So Patricia is from Spain, actually, originally, and she got her PhD from Complutense University of Madrid. And she works on neurological disorders like Parkinson. So another saving lives or making lives better for people. But please, Patricia, tell us about your project. You can use the mic if you want to hear. Yeah.
So first, thank you very much, EuroTech Alliance, and of course, Tatiana. Thank you very much for your introduction. And actually, before talking just about my research, I wanted to say thank you to all of you. I'm coming from a completely different field, and sometimes I think in science we just get really focused in our own science, and we consider that it's the most important. And then you see a completely different field, and then you feel like, okay, I am trying to improve our, let's say, expectancy of life, how to arrive to our future in better conditions. But if the world is not in better conditions, like why I would want to get to like longer life. So just thank you very much for all your efforts. About my research, I can say that I started in Madrid studying first osteoporosis. So in the end, it was also a degenerative disease. I am in the field of nanotechnology also. It's funny because the other two awardees were also in a way of nano, like nanobodies and also nanotechnology. But in my case, after my PhD, I moved to neurological disorders, mainly focus of my grandfather that is suffering Alzheimer's. And my approach is slightly, I would say, different. I am using lipid nanoparticles that are the ones that I guess, I don't know if all of us, but most of us have been injected during the COVID pandemic in order to deliver drugs specifically to the brain. But in my way, I am trying to improve that by using music. This has been, let's say, inspired by my grandfather because suffering Alzheimer's, one of the last things that he's reactive to right now is music. So then I was thinking, like, if I can use music to just improve the amount of particles that are able to arrive to the brain, I would be able to just improve the treatment with a non-invasive approach. And I'm currently working on it. So I hope that maybe you will hear about this in sooner future, and hoping to just change how current pharma drug applications have been focused. So just thank you very much. And thank you very much for everything.
Patricia, it's very touching and very inspirational, and it's so touching that you use your personal experience, not so positive personal experience, but to improve so many people's life. It's very noble. Thank you very much. And
thank you. I'm sure you'll be. There you go. Thank you. And I guess you can hold your trophy. It's not that light.
Thank you. And good luck. Good luck to all our winners, and we would definitely like to hear from you more. So please stay in touch, and please be with us as a EuroTech family and continue collaboration at the different levels. Thank you.
Congratulations to all winners. Thank you very much, Tatiana and Andreas, for handing out these prizes. And thank you for the inspiration for the 3 pitches that we were able to listen to. This afternoon has almost come to an end, except for the fact that you can still meet the people you haven't met yet, that you can mingle, and that you can maybe try and find new ways of doing research together to speed up the action on water resilience and to be able to close the loop. I think we've heard we need courage and we need to do it together. So let's have a bit of courage. Let's have a little bit of togetherness. And I would like to invite you to the reception that will take place in the atrium, where you will again have another chance to talk to the speakers. Have a look at the posters also if you haven't been able to do so yet, or maybe even to plan your next project. If you've been joining us online, thank you very much for being here. If you've been joining us in the room, thank you very much, and I wish you a great day.